Hello, esteemed gentlemen. Some men don't fight evil with swords. They make it self-destruct through silence. Every generation produces a few rare men who don't roar, don't boast, and don't broadcast their intentions. Yet somehow, evil fears them the most. These are the Sigma males, the quiet architects of karma. They don't chase vengeance or seek validation. They simply exist in such raw alignment with truth that corruption malfunctions in their presence. Here's the unsettling fact. Studies in behavioral psychology show that manipulative or narcissistic individuals collapse faster when exposed to emotionally detached, self-aware personalities. Translation? Sigma males are like emotional Teflon. Evil tries to stick and slides right off. While most people wrestle with villains, Sigma males dismantle them psychologically, sometimes without even realizing it. Their calmness feels like mockery to chaos. Their silence sounds like judgment to deceit. And their intelligence? It's the kind that doesn't just expose evil, it makes it embarrassed to exist. So buckle up, because what you're about to discover isn't some fairy tale about good defeating evil. It's how Sigma males obliterate darkness with the quiet precision of a sniper, and sometimes with a smirk that says, "Nice try." Number one, they don't fight shadows. They turn on the light. Sigma males don't waste energy wrestling with evil directly. They understand that darkness doesn't vanish by confrontation. It thrives in corners, hidden behind illusions and misdirection. Instead of matching aggression with aggression, they expose the truth. They turn on the light, not to attack, but to reveal the cracks that evil works so hard to hide. Every lie, every manipulation, every secret weakness becomes instantly visible. The evil person thinks they are controlling the room, the narrative, or the situation. But when a Sigma male enters, their control starts slipping without a single word being spoken. It's not about power plays or dramatic showdowns. It's about presence. A Sigma male doesn't argue with deceit. He embodies honesty and awareness so completely that deception can't survive near him. He doesn't need to prove anything because the environment itself becomes a mirror for truth. The light he shines is quiet but unavoidable. Evil relies on shadows, on hiding its flaws behind fear, pride, and cunning. When the light hits, all that careful construction crumbles. The manipulator's strategy falls apart, the liar's story collapses, and the one who thought themselves untouchable suddenly feels exposed and impotent. This approach is far more terrifying than brute force. Physical fights end, words are forgotten, but a Sigma male's presence forces reflection and recognition. Darkness cannot lie when it is illuminated. It cannot intimidate when someone refuses to react. By simply existing with clarity, discipline, and unwavering perception, Sigma males make evil stumble over its own ego. There's no theatrics, no posturing, no vengeance, just a constant, undeniable light that keeps shining until shadows fade. In the world of manipulation and hidden agendas, the quiet but relentless exposure of truth is more lethal than any attack. Darkness doesn't recover from being truly seen, and Sigma males make sure it never hides again. The brilliance of this method is that it's almost effortless. Evil can't fight a force that doesn't fight back, that doesn't indulge in chaos, that doesn't react with anger or fear. It collapses under its own weight, while the Sigma male remains untouched, untarnished, and in complete control, simply by turning on the light and refusing to participate in the shadows. Number two, they make evil realize. It's powerless without an audience. Evil thrives on attention. It needs eyes to admire it, reactions to fuel it, and chaos to validate its existence. The manipulator, the narcissist, the schemer, they perform constantly, measuring their own power by the fear, confusion, or anger they provoke in others. Sigma males understand this better than anyone. They know that the greatest weapon against darkness isn't confrontation, and it isn't clever retaliation. It's indifference. When a Sigma male encounters evil, he doesn't feed it. He doesn't rise to provocations. He doesn't justify himself, and he doesn't react in the ways the dark personality expects. That lack of engagement is devastating. The manipulator expects sparks, chaos, drama, and when none come, the script collapses. Every plan built to control or intimidate suddenly seems pointless. The evil person realizes, often with growing panic, that their power exists only because they have willing witnesses. Without an audience, they are hollow. This is where Sigma males wield their subtle, almost surgical dominance. They don't need to expose the evil through confrontation or argument. Their refusal to engage does all the work. The dark personality, starved of validation and attention, starts overthinking, second-guessing, and unraveling mentally. Its energy is wasted, its schemes falter, and the fear it tried to create disappears because there's no one left to feel it. The Sigma male's silence becomes louder than any attack could ever be. What makes this method so extraordinary is that it's invisible power. There's no spectacle, no revenge plot, no public humiliation. It's the quiet understanding that evil cannot exist in isolation. It is a parasite that requires a host to thrive. By withdrawing his emotional and psychological presence, the Sigma male forces darkness to confront its own emptiness. Without spectators, evil doesn't just lose influence, it loses purpose entirely. The manipulator realizes that they have been performing for someone who isn't watching, and that realization is more terrifying and more fatal than any blow could ever be. In the end, the Sigma male doesn't destroy evil by striking. He destroys it by making it irrelevant, powerless, and ultimately invisible. The performance ends because he refuses to clap. Number 3, they transform pain into strategy. Sigma males don't let pain break them. When evil attacks, when betrayal cuts deep, or when life hits with unfairness, they don't lash out or crumble. They take it all in, analyze it, and turn it into a tool. Every insult, every manipulation, every attempt to wound them becomes raw material for growth and precision. Pain, instead of being a weakness, becomes a blueprint for their next move. While others might react emotionally, feeding the cycle of chaos, Sigma males convert suffering into calculated strategy. Evil often underestimates this. They think attacks will leave scars, that wounds will make Sigma males vulnerable. They expect anger, fear, or revenge. Instead, they find someone who doesn't flinch. Every attempt to destabilize them becomes an insight into the dark mind. The more evil tries to break a Sigma male, the more he understands it. Patterns, motives, weaknesses, and limitations. What was intended to harm now sharpens his ability to navigate and neutralize darkness with surgical precision. This transformation isn't visible to the casual observer. Sigma males don't broadcast their pain or flaunt their victories. They quietly study, adapt, and implement. Each encounter with malevolence strengthens their emotional armor and hones their psychological instincts. Pain becomes the fuel for foresight, the spark for preparation, and the edge for domination. By the time evil realizes that its actions have been counterproductive, it is already outmaneuvered. The brilliance of this approach lies in its subtlety. Evil can't recognize the threat until it's too late, because the Sigma male doesn't confront it with emotion. He outpaces it with wisdom. The attacks that were supposed to weaken him only make him more formidable. Every challenge, every attempt to hurt, every betrayal becomes a stepping stone to mastery. In the end, Sigma males turn pain into a weapon that's invisible but undeniable. Evil may think it inflicted damage, but all it really did was train its opponent. The person it tried to destroy emerges stronger, smarter, and untouchable. Pain becomes power, chaos becomes clarity, and attacks become strategy. That's the quiet, devastating genius of the Sigma male. Nothing meant to break him ever succeeds because he has learned how to transform every blow into unstoppable momentum. Number 4, they dissolve fear by understanding. Evil thrives on fear because fear is control. The manipulator, the liar, the predator. They know exactly how to twist uncertainty, doubt, and panic into obedience or chaos. Most people react instinctively, letting fear dictate their choices, exposing weaknesses, and giving evil a clear path to domination. Sigma males, however, approach fear differently. They don't deny it or suppress it. They study it. They dissect it like a scientist examining a complex organism, breaking it down into causes, triggers, and patterns. Once fear is fully understood, it stops being a weapon. It becomes a map, a tool, not a trap. By mastering their own fears, Sigma males remove the emotional strings that evil tries to pull. The manipulator thrives on reaction, on panic, on hesitation, but the Sigma male doesn't flinch. When confronted with threats or intimidation, he responds with analysis, not anxiety. The more evil attempts to provoke, the more transparent it becomes. Every tactic, every lie, every attempt to unbalance him only reinforces his comprehension of the darkness he's dealing with. Fear loses its edge, and with it, evil loses its leverage. This is what makes Sigma males terrifying to corrupt individuals. They operate from a position of internal authority that cannot be shaken. While most people crumble or fight blindly, Sigma males remain untouchable because they've faced the very mechanisms that drive fear. They've studied them, internalized them, and transcended them. Evil cannot manipulate someone who has no strings to pull. In essence, Sigma males turn the tables. Fear, which was intended to control them, becomes a source of insight and strength. It sharpens their perception, hones their instincts, and exposes the weaknesses of those who wield fear as a weapon. By understanding fear fully, they dissolve it, rendering evil powerless. Those who thought they could dominate through intimidation find themselves powerless against someone who has mastered the darkness within and refuses to play by the rules of terror. Number 5. They don't fight evil. They starve it of attention. Evil is like a parasite that feeds on energy, reactions, and the chaos it can provoke. It thrives when people give it attention, when they respond with anger, fear, or even curiosity. Every argument, every confrontation, every display of outrage is fuel for its growth. Sigma males understand this instinctively. They don't feed it, they don't play into its schemes, and they refuse to hand over the reactions it craves. Instead of meeting evil head-on, they withdraw their attention, leaving it to twist and flounder in silence. This approach is deceptively simple but brutally effective. Evil cannot survive in isolation because it is designed to manipulate, control, and provoke others. When there's no audience, no emotional response, and no validation, it begins to wither. Sigma males turn indifference into a weapon. Their silence isn't passive, it's strategic. Each moment they refuse to react, each choice to remain unshaken, slowly drains the energy that evil relies upon. Over time, the manipulator, the liar, or the schemer begins to falter, exhausted from trying to provoke a response that never comes. What makes this method extraordinary is its subtlety. There's no confrontation, no theatrics, and no need for vengeance. The Sigma male doesn't have to prove his strength. He simply refuses to give darkness life. Evil dies quietly, invisibly, without a fight, and often without realizing why it's losing. The withdrawal of attention is more lethal than aggression because it attacks the very foundation on which evil thrives, the need for recognition, and reaction. In the end, Sigma males destroy evil not by striking it down, but by denying it existence in the world that matters. They make it irrelevant, powerless, and starved. While others struggle, react, and exhaust themselves trying to fight darkness, the Sigma male achieves victory effortlessly, silently, and completely, by simply refusing to participate in the drama that feeds it. Evil collapses not under force, but under the weight of its own ignored existence. Number 6. They mirror evil back. Without saying a word. Sigma males have a unique way of neutralizing evil. They become a reflection. When someone tries to manipulate, deceive, or intimidate them, they don't fight back with words, anger, or retaliation. Instead, they reflect the energy back with surgical precision. Every lie, every attempt at control, every sneaky tactic meets an unflinching psychological mirror. The manipulator sees themselves through the Sigma male's calm and composed reflection, and it's devastating. This is a method of exposure that doesn't require confrontation. The evildoer starts to recognize their own behavior in the mirror of the Sigma male's presence. Their manipulations, their cruelty, and their dishonesty suddenly become undeniable, and they are forced to face the ugliness of their actions. It's a kind of silent judgment, powerful, subtle, and relentless. The realization doesn't come from accusation or argument. It comes from recognition. The evil person experiences the full weight of their own darkness as if they were watching themselves rot in real time. What makes this technique extraordinary is its invisibility. There's no need for moral lectures, dramatic reactions, or public shaming. Sigma males neutralize evil by forcing it to confront itself. The evildoer's energy, which was intended to dominate or unsettle, is returned in a way that leaves them unsettled instead. They start questioning their own motives, feeling the imbalance they tried to create in others. Sigma males don't react to evil with fury. They respond with clarity. Their silence, their calm, and their ability to reflect without judgment become a psychological trap. The manipulator's power collapses because it depends on the Sigma male's reaction, and when that reaction is replaced with a mirror, the darkness cannot stand. It falters, shrinks, and sometimes implodes entirely. Without a single word, without a single blow, the Sigma male has turned the evildoer's own energy against them, leaving them exposed, powerless, and fully aware of their own flaws. Number 7. They redefine power without violence. Evil thinks in terms of domination, control, and visible victories. It believes power is about force, intimidation, or the ability to bend others to its will. Sigma males operate on a completely different frequency. They measure power not by what they can take or destroy, but by what they can rise above. Detachment becomes their weapon, and indifference becomes their authority. They don't feel the need to engage in the battles evil wants to fight, because to them, those battles are meaningless. By refusing to participate, they end the game entirely, leaving evil confused, frustrated, and exposed. This approach is subtle but devastating. Evil relies on conflict to assert itself. It thrives when others react, when fear is provoked, when chaos is created. But the Sigma male doesn't give it any of that. He doesn't play by the rules that darkness expects. He transcends them. Where evil sees a challenge, the Sigma male sees an opportunity to demonstrate that true strength doesn't need to fight to dominate. By refusing the arena, by refusing reaction, he removes the ground from beneath the manipulator's feet. Without a battlefield, evil loses all meaning and all leverage. The brilliance of this method lies in its quiet efficiency. There's no struggle, no brute force, no retaliation, just a complete refusal to engage in the framework that evil understands. This is power on an entirely different level, a form of mastery that confuses those who only know how to push, pull, and provoke. The manipulator cannot anticipate it, cannot manipulate it, and cannot even recognize it until it's already done. In the end, Sigma males redefine what it means to be powerful. They show that dominance isn't about control, aggression, or victory in someone else's game. It's about independence, unshakable calm, and the ability to exist beyond the chaos that others mistake for influence. By detaching from the fight, they leave evil powerless, exposed, and utterly incapable of understanding the quiet, absolute authority of a man who doesn't need to fight to win. Number 8. They expose weakness through strength of restraint. Evil thrives on the assumption that kindness and patience are weaknesses. It preys on those who react impulsively, lash out, or try to prove themselves. Sigma males, however, turn this misconception into a weapon. They have the power to retaliate, to crush, or to humiliate, but they exercise restraint. That restraint is not hesitation or fear. It's absolute control. By choosing not to strike, they reveal a level of strength that the aggressor cannot comprehend. When a Sigma male faces manipulation, lies, or provocation, he doesn't respond with fury or counterattack. He simply observes, absorbs, and remains unshaken. The evildoer expects chaos and reaction, but instead finds calm mastery. That calmness is suffocating because it exposes the aggressor's own desperation and insecurity. The more evil pushes, the more its weakness becomes visible, reflected against the Sigma male's unshakable discipline. This approach is subtle, but it's far more terrifying than open confrontation. When someone has the ability to destroy another but chooses not to, it sends a clear and chilling message. Control isn't about domination or intimidation. It's about knowing your own power and refusing to waste it on petty battles. The restraint of the Sigma male becomes a mirror that exposes the emptiness of those who rely on chaos and aggression to feel strong. In effect, the Sigma male transforms restraint into a tool of dominance. Mercy is no longer just an act of ethics. It becomes a statement of superiority. Evil, accustomed to provoking reactions, finds itself powerless. The aggressor's attempts to destabilize, intimidate, or manipulate are rendered useless because the Sigma male operates on a level they cannot even perceive. Through this strength of restraint, the Sigma male exposes weakness without striking a single blow. The evildoer becomes painfully aware of their own limitations, all while the Sigma male remains untarnished, in control, and undeniably dominant. Restraint isn't surrender. It's the quiet, absolute demonstration of ultimate power. Number 9. They observe, not react. Sigma males never rush to respond. They watch, analyze, and study before they make a move. Evil thrives on impulsive reactions. It expects people to act in predictable ways, to be swayed by anger, fear, or confusion. Sigma males break that expectation entirely. They treat the actions of manipulators and deceivers like data, noticing patterns, timing, and weaknesses. Every word, gesture, and tactic is catalogued and understood. By the time the evildoer expects chaos or confrontation, the Sigma male has already positioned himself several steps ahead. This approach turns patience into power. Evil can't win against someone who refuses to play on its terms. While others may escalate fights, argue endlessly, or be drawn into manipulation, Sigma males remain detached. They understand that reacting emotionally only feeds the very darkness they intend to dismantle. Instead, they remain strategic, observing the moves, intentions, and vulnerabilities of those around them. The effect is devastatingly efficient. By the time evil realizes it's being analyzed, the outcome has already been determined. Manipulations fail, threats lose their edge, and schemes collapse silently, without the evildoer fully understanding why. The Sigma male has already adapted, countered, or rendered the threat irrelevant, all without a single visible reaction. What makes this method extraordinary is its invisibility. There's no confrontation, no aggression, and no need for validation. Observation itself becomes a weapon. The aggressor, who relied on reaction and predictability to maintain control, finds themselves outmaneuvered by someone who doesn't play by conventional rules. In the end, Sigma males prove that the greatest form of dominance isn't in striking first or reacting with emotion. It's in watching, understanding, and acting with precision. Evil is dismantled not by force, but by the quiet, strategic patience of a man who sees every move coming long before it happens. Observation, in this case, becomes unstoppable power. Number 10. They make evil exhaust itself. Sigma males understand a simple but devastating truth. Some fires die faster when you stop feeding them. Evil relies on attention, energy, and emotional responses to sustain itself. It needs people to react, argue, panic, or despair in order to feel powerful. When it meets a Sigma male, it encounters something completely unfamiliar: indifference. The manipulator pushes, provokes, and attacks, expecting chaos, but the Sigma male remains untouched, calm, and unmoved. Every attempt to provoke a reaction meets nothing but stillness, and that stillness becomes the most powerful weapon imaginable. The effect on evil is exhausting. When there's no response, no engagement, no validation, the dark energy begins to consume itself. Manipulations that were meant to destabilize become futile exercises in futility. Lies, threats, and schemes lose momentum because their effectiveness depends on eliciting a reaction that never comes. The manipulator becomes frantic, frustrated, and ultimately drained, pouring energy into a target that refuses to participate. This is not passive behavior, it's strategic mastery. Sigma males don't need to fight or retaliate to defeat evil. By maintaining control over their own presence and emotions, they turn the aggressor's energy against themselves. The more evil tries to dominate, the faster it depletes itself. The Sigma male watches as their attacks collapse under their own weight, all while he remains untouched, unshaken, and completely in control. What makes this approach extraordinary is that it's silent but absolute. There's no spectacle, no struggle, no chance for miscalculation. Evil burns itself out simply by being ignored, leaving the Sigma male stronger and unaffected. The aggressor, once seemingly powerful, is left exhausted, impotent, and confused, realizing too late that the very energy they depended on to exert control has been their undoing. In the end, Sigma males destroy evil not by fighting it, but by forcing it to destroy itself, all while walking away untouched, untarnished, and in complete command of their own power. Number 11. They radiate a moral frequency evil can't stand. Sigma males carry a presence that is quietly impossible to corrupt. It isn't loud, aggressive, or performative. It's an energy, a frequency that exposes darkness simply by existing. Evil people, manipulators, and deceivers are highly sensitive to this. They can feel it without understanding it. A subtle but undeniable discomfort when they are near someone who operates on a higher moral and emotional plane. This is not about judgment or preaching. It's about the Sigma male embodying something pure, disciplined, and incorruptible. This presence alone disrupts evil. People who rely on manipulation, intimidation, or deceit begin to feel exposed. Their lies seem smaller, their schemes weaker, and their influence harder to wield. Darkness instinctively recoils from light, and the Sigma male doesn't just shine. He radiates a frequency that evil cannot touch, cannot influence, and cannot endure. The manipulator starts second-guessing, faltering, and overcompensating simply because they are confronted with someone who refuses to participate in their chaos. What makes this method so powerful is that it requires no action. There are no fights, no arguments, no psychological games. The Sigma male doesn't need to dismantle evil actively. The presence of integrity and unshakable self-mastery does the work for him. Darkness cannot manipulate what it cannot reach, and it cannot reach someone whose energy is untouchable. Evil trembles around this uncorrupted energy because it subconsciously senses superiority it cannot understand or challenge. The Sigma male's moral frequency becomes a silent weapon, one that disarms without confrontation, exposes without words, and leaves the manipulator feeling powerless. It is the ultimate form of dominance, not through aggression or fear, but through sheer authenticity, awareness, and incorruptible presence. In the end, Sigma males don't need to strike or prove themselves. They simply exist on a level evil cannot endure, making deception, manipulation, and darkness falter the moment it comes near. Presence becomes power, and moral clarity becomes a weapon sharper than any force or fury. Number 12. They break evil's illusion of superiority. Evil survives on one key thing: delusion. It tells itself that it's smarter, stronger, untouchable, and untouchable by anyone who crosses its path. Manipulators and deceivers constantly inflate their own sense of superiority, relying on arrogance and cunning to maintain control. Sigma males, however, don't participate in this game of self-aggrandizement. Instead, they operate through quiet excellence, methodical skill, and unshakable composure. Their intelligence doesn't need to announce itself. It simply exists, and in doing so, it exposes the mediocrity and fragility of the so-called untouchable evil. The brilliance of this approach lies in its subtlety. While evil is busy proving its dominance through showy tactics, Sigma males focus on mastery, precision, and strategy. Every action is intentional, every move calculated, and every decision informed by awareness rather than ego. To the manipulator, it feels like their carefully constructed superiority is crumbling, even if nothing overtly confrontational has happened. They begin to sense that the Sigma male is operating on a level they can't match, and that realization is quietly devastating. This dismantling of superiority isn't about confrontation or argument. It's about presence, competence, and quiet consistency. Evil depends on intimidation, manipulation, and the illusion of control to feel powerful. When someone consistently demonstrates skill, clarity, and self-possession without needing recognition, it exposes the emptiness behind the facade. The manipulator realizes, often too late, that the power they believed they had was only an illusion, one shattered simply by a man who refuses to react to it. Sigma males don't need to make a show of defeating evil. Their excellence speaks for itself. By living with precision, intelligence, and calm mastery, they shatter the illusions that manipulators cling to. The more evil believes it is untouchable, the more it blinds itself, and the Sigma male quietly ensures that arrogance meets reality. In the end, superiority is only a myth until someone demonstrates true power through action, restraint, and unshakable competence, and Sigma males do it with brutal elegance. Sigma males are not warriors in the traditional sense, nor are they driven by anger, ego, or the need to dominate. Their strength is silent, their victories invisible, and their methods subtle yet devastating. They dismantle evil not through brute force, loud confrontation, or impulsive reaction, but through patience, perception, and unshakable self-mastery. They starve darkness of attention, let consequences unfold naturally, transform pain into strategy, and expose the weaknesses that manipulators hide behind. They operate on a higher frequency, one that evil cannot touch, cannot understand, and ultimately cannot survive. What makes the Sigma male truly terrifying to darkness is that his power isn't visible until it has already succeeded. He doesn't need to fight, argue, or prove himself. He simply exists, untouchable, calculating, and completely in control. Evil collapses around him because it cannot manipulate, deceive, or intimidate someone who has mastered their own mind, mastered their own fear, and mastered the art of strategic detachment. Every lie, every manipulation, every attempt at dominance is met with silence, calm, and unflinching observation. And in that silence, evil starves, falters, and ultimately destroys itself. The Sigma male teaches a brutal lesson to those who mistake chaos, aggression, or intimidation for power. True power is quiet. True dominance is restraint. True victory is achieved not by striking first, but by existing above the fray, untangled and untouchable. When the dust settles, the evildoer is broken, exposed, and powerless, all without a fight, all without theatrics, and all while the Sigma male walks away completely intact. If you've felt the weight of darkness or witnessed the subtle ways people manipulate and destroy, understanding the Sigma male's methods will change the way you see power forever. And if this deep dive into the mind, methods, and mastery of the Sigma male resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that subscribe button, like this video, comment your thoughts, and share it with anyone who needs to understand the quiet, unstoppable force of a man who destroys evil without ever lifting a hand. The world may not see it coming, but Sigma males already have.